Welcome back. So the next thing we're going to talk about for this week is literature review-based research, or what Robson and McCartan call desk-based research. This is going to be one of the most important things that you learn how to do in your graduate career, is to be able to dig into and find literature related to the topic that you want to study. It is incredibly important to know all of the research and the theory that supports the research that you want to do, because the very first thing you have to figure out is if there is a need for your study. And that is contained in the literature that you're going to look up, mostly using library databases provided by the university at this point. You can also use tools like Google Scholar, and another tool called Mendeley has a built-in search function. Regular Google and other databases are good. There are a large number of available resources to help you, but before you start any research study, that's where you're going to start. There's also research that is just focused on literature, bibliographic analysis, meta-analysis. These are all forms of large-scale research that use past studies in order to populate your data sources in order to try to figure out what's happened before and synthesize an outcome. But it is really the literature where the need for the problem, the need for your study is going to come from. So it's going to be really important for you to get started in that space. So UNT subscribes to a large number of academic databases that are incredibly helpful to you. ProQuest, Web of Science, JSTOR, ERIC, EBSCOhost. These are all going to be incredibly important. Now, a lot of the time, you aren't really even going to pay attention to what database it's coming from, because UNT kindly provides a central search space. Now, you can get into more detail. However, the easiest thing to start with is just topic. Basically, you're doing a Boolean search like you would in any Google search. So if you've got a topic that you want to learn more about, you're just going to start with a few keywords. And library databases are all available at library.unt.edu. Now, there are lots of other resources besides articles, but articles are the gold standard because they've been peer-reviewed. And that's what you're going to want to rely on primarily as an academic researcher. Books are okay. Book chapters are okay, but they don't usually have the level of rigor that a peer-reviewed academic article does. So that's where you're going to want to start. Now, other things can be helpful and useful, but they're going to be viewed less favorably than articles that are published in peer-reviewed journals. So let's say we want to do some research on distance education, which is very important right now. I'm going to type in the term distance education. Now, it's not just going to produce articles in the search outcome. That's always going to be over here on the left. And you can hit this button over here and it'll pull out just full text articles. It'll also give you books and other journals that are listed. So you can go specifically to journals related to that topic. It'll give you the print and online links over here on the lower left, specific databases that include distance education, and specific library guides that have been developed for particular courses. Our department doesn't do a lot of these, but they are available for some other courses that might be relevant to you. There are digital collections about, say, distance education and transformation of schooling. So that's 89 to 05. That looks like it's a dissertation. So you're going to get a series of dissertations listed here, as well as presentations, some other background information in particular areas. And you can also just go straight to library web search results for distance education. You can also look in specific collections that are available out there. You can find book chapters, which can be helpful, although you often have to pay for those. but they are available. If you need help with research, there is information over here about some of the librarians. Um, Once you get here, there's a button here called Find It. That's going to be your friend. You're going to have to log in. I think I changed my password recently, so I need to make sure I have the right one there. Apparently, I've been in the databases more recently than I changed my password. It's the place I spend a lot of time almost every day. So you can see up here, we are in JSTOR. Close those. Tells us who's we're accessing through, and gives us our base information about who wrote it. Over here on the left, gives a stable URL. If you click on this, it'll give you a citation in APA, MLA Chicago. In our field, we use APA. We're now on APA 7, just switched over from 6, so make sure that you get a copy of APA 7. Has some important changes that actually make life easier. This is review of educational research. This is a big, heavy journal. That's why it's 61 pages long. Most articles are between 20 and 40 pages long, but review of educational research is much bigger because it covers really extensive periods of time. You can read it directly on screen here by clicking the buttons over here, going left and right. However, there's also this great thing, which is the download PDF button. You have to click accept. You have to make sure that your pop-ups are open. Start that over. And this will let you open it up in Adobe Reader. And this is helpful, especially if you have any visual impairments, because you can download an accessible PDF. You can either print it directly here or click the download button. Each of these screens may be a little different depending on who's providing it. JSTOR is going to look a little different than EBSCOhost, for example. So you have to look for where the download PDF button is. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Okay. Now I'm going to switch screens here because it popped it open in Adobe. So you can see that it's open now and I've got access. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a PDF. I'm going to save it into my Google Drive. No, I can't spell simulation. That's okay. I'm going to create a new folder. 6510 resources. Save. You'll probably hear my kids in the next room. That will probably be a pretty constant thing throughout the semester. So now that this is saved, I have access to it later, and I can organize a folder where I'm going to have good things that I need. So that can be very helpful. So that's just a really simple introduction. We're going to get into this more in week 2. However, if you want to go back in, you can pull lots of other articles out of this, which is nice. Share my screen again. So a tool that I recommend that you all download as soon as possible is called Mendeley, and this is helpful to be used with the all of your references to keep things organized. You're going to create an account and sign in so that you have access online. I can sign in here. Already got my stuff embedded in there. Now, this is the online version. I can go into my library here, if it will let me. can see all of the documents that I've downloaded are listed here, how recently. It's like July 30th. I downloaded a lot of stuff. You can add favorite documents. You can add your own publications. So I have all of my publications listed in here so that I can easily cite them. And so if I want to, I can click on, let's see, yeah, so this is from the Decision Sciences Institute. I'm going to copy it. So all I have to do is hit Control C once I've got it selected. And if it will open. Switch over to Microsoft Word. And if I'm in Word, I just hit Control V. Oh, well, that's interesting. It didn't do what it's supposed to. Oh, that's because I'm in the online version. So, oh, not where I want to be. Oh, sorry. Everything can be a little wonky. So I'm just going to open the desktop version of it. So I'll make it a little easier. Share. So this is the desktop version. You can tell because it says Mendeley Desktop at the top. It takes a second to synchronize all the new stuff. I'm going to go ahead and click on the one that I want, role of qualitative research and data-driven decision-making model development. Control C. Now I switch over to Word. Control V. And now I have my properly formatted reference. And this is done for APA 7. So this makes it a lot easier. Plus, you can also, if you go back into Mendeley, you can actually create different folders. So you can see that I've got a 1-to-1 in K-12, 21st century skills, cybersecurity, high school games research, stuff for my LTEC 6010 course. And all of these that are available over here, I can copy and paste. Now, the ones that I have PDFs for, you can tell I have a PDF because it shows a little PDF next to the name. You can see Cobb P, see a little PDF. If I come in over here, I can click on it and it will show it to me in a window and I can read it right in here. I can put notes on it. I can highlight. I can add colors. I can zoom in. It gives me a large number of options, and I can also sync that file that I've made notes on so that I can find it later. It also uploads it to the cloud. This helps keep us organized and allows us to do things a lot more easily. Now, adding, you can either go in and add manually, where you've got to put the name of the journal article, the authors, putting last name first, comma, first name, journal name, year, volume, etc. That can be a little more painful, but I do it a lot because not everything comes with a PDF. If I do have a PDF, like the one we just got, I can go to Google Drive. So whatever folder I'm using, 6510 resources. This is that same distance education review piece. Click on OK. It pulls it in for me. You can see it's highlighted here in blue, Bernard, comma, Robert. And if I come over here to the right-hand screen, you can see that it's listed as a journal article correctly. It imported it. Here's the title. Sometimes you may need to do a little cleanup, but not always. This one's got the names done correctly. Title of the journal. year, volume, issue, pages, and the abstract keywords, the DOI, which gives a direct link to the piece. And then again, here is the file. This was all done for me. All I had to do is click a button, import, and it's all done. So the other nice feature with Mendeley is the literature search. So if I want to look, I can do distance education, and it's going to give me everything recent that it has. And I can just drag and drop these into all documents. Now, the downside to using the literature search on Mendeley is I don't have the PDFs. This is really helpful if I know the name of an article that I want to cite and reference, but I don't have access to it and I just need to copy and paste it. I can drag it over. I can also copy and paste the reference, which is super helpful. So that is Mendeley. Super helpful. There are other tools. However, this is the one that I found works best, and the nice part about it is free. So another tool that is available that is also free is called Harzings, HARZING''S, Publish or Perish. Now, for some reason, my version has disappeared. Let's see if I can find it. Oops, somehow I'm opening Minesweeper. There it is. Publish or Perish 7. So I guess they just, it still says Harzings. Looks like there's a new update. Just gonna reboot it for me. Yes. Sorry, everything is taking a little longer than I'd like, but it's now updated. That's shared with you. If I can. There we go. So this is Harzing's Publish or Perish. Now the nice thing about this particular tool is it lets you search similar to what we did on the other. I'm going to go ahead and I can click. You can do Crossref search, Google Scholar searches, PubMed, Microsoft Academic, Scopus, and Web of Science. Now, the only one that I've found that works especially well for academic research is Google Scholar. So I'm just going to click on that. And I don't do author search as much unless that's something important to me. Same thing with publications or titles. I usually just do keyword searches. So I'm going to do distance education. And you can get up to 1,000 results on this. You can also limit it to certain years. So I'm going to do, let's say, 2015 to 2020. And for our purposes, I'm going to limit it to 100 because otherwise it could take a little while. And now it's got a search in progress. Just searching for 2015 and 2020. It's pretty quick. And done. So now it's going to give me a whole list of publications down here that are relevant, including H-index scores, how many citations per year are there, the title, year, publication, where we can find it. Sorry, stop sharing. It gives you the publisher and the type of publication. You can add additional things. It's got the total results over here, which is kind of nice. You can also save out the results as a CSV file. You can do it as APA references, full search reports. So you have different options. You can put it out as for EndNote or Rough Manager. I don't find that super helpful, but the CSV tends to be very helpful in my experience for being able to track what's there. And it does it in an order that can be helpful for understanding what has been found to be valuable in the field and what has been less valuable in the field. So this is another way to pull data, which can be helpful. Again, it tells you a lot of these are books, so you have to pay for those, so it may not be as helpful. Um, you can turn this around by title, authors, so there are some helpful search features here. So this is just another option that you can play with. But overall, you have to ground what you do in our field in the literature. So you're going to have to become familiar with it and the tools. And these are a couple that you should get familiar with as soon as possible. In the meantime, um, in your week one directions, once you're done with the videos, with the literature review, I would like you to start looking in the library databases and experimenting with finding things. The first experiment that you've got in the resources for week 2 is homework for next week. Share that. So down here in resources for week 2, you're going to go to library.unt.edu, and I want you to find this article by Reeves and O from 2017, The Goals and Methods of Educational Technology Research Over a Quarter Century. It's in Educational Technology Research and Development. You may have to mess around a little bit, use other databases if you can't find it right away, including Google Search Dollar, and find it, and then use your UNT access in order to get to it. Because sometimes that's how this works. But part of your job here is to get experienced with this and figure out how to make the tools that you have available work to get you the pieces that you need. The other thing you're doing is reading Robson's Real World Research, chapters 1, 2, and 3 for next week when we meet face to face for the first time. And by face to face, I mean synchronously using video chat. So please be sure that you have read all of these things because we will be discussing them and you will be tested. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you next week.